Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. Everybody's working for the weekend. Taking care of business every day. Now it's wow, welcome to the working week.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Turgeon, and this is the Working Lunch. Got a lot of top stories to get to.
Well, and I am your co-host, Jonathan Cortez. Well, welcome back, Jeff. I guess you're
Check
coming.
my news anchor?
You're coming up. Guns are
evening.
blazing here. See, we missed you last month.
Guns a-blazing.
Yes,
Right.
yes. So you're back.
I
Very
feel
professional
it's
today.
like when Tom Brady had Garoppolo step in, and he has to come back though and have some authority because you can't let that slide.
Well, you know, that's a good comparison because Ethan does do a very nice job filling your shoes. Not that he fills them.
That's quite all right.
But he does
That's
a
quite
very
all right.
nice job of co-hosting in your absence, and kudos to Ethan. But welcome back.
Yeah, well, thank you.
know
Glad
you
to
got
be
a
back.
busy-
I missed it.
Yeah, I know you have a busy schedule at work.
What I did was
and
I was
at
on
home.
vacation, and I just for an hour I went by myself and just did my own did the stuff I normally would have done on the show, just no cameras,
Oh, you did somewhere
just to
along.
stay with it.
It's kind of like a practice session.
It was a practice session. It was
You came
like
back.
it was
You
like
had
a
the- You had the
vacation.
TV voice or the radio voice.
That's
'Cause
right.
We're on both.
That's right. Let
And,
me get to the
good.
top stories here.
Well, good for you. How was vacation?
Awesome.
How was your summer?
Boy, I'll tell you what. I like the fact that it's like I wish we had it more like I don't know Europeans or whatever, where you get like 3 weeks or something in a row. Because by the time a week goes by so fast,
Right.
by the time you unwind, you're relaxing, then done.
Right, but in your case, it's a matter of by the time we actually shut you off and ignore you from your emails while you're on vacation, then we get peace and quiet. So I can only imagine what the wife and kids are on the other side. So Jeff,
you're
3 days
you're hanging
in,
out.
you're still talking to the people at the office.
Well, you just
we
sometimes
appreciate your commitment, but at some points you just need peace of mind. You need to relax.
I hear you.
Hey, like I
There's
said,
a balance. It's
I
gotta be a
could
balance.
see that it worked out because you came back strong. Came back
ready to go.
Facing the camera, deep voice, projecting.
Authoritative.
Don't get carried away. But you know what? It was good. It was a good start. It was a good start. So welcome back. We got another great show today.
We do.
And you come back with an interview, which, again, not to take it away from the folks, the suspense, but yeah, you did a nice interview coming up. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Because we got charts and graphs and all
Where
sorts of
I gotta
information.
hand it to Jessica and Judy and the folks here, Sean and the folks here. They're really stepping up their support for the show. You know, they had said to us, they came to us, as you know, and they're, hey, what more can we do to liven up the show with maybe some fancy graphics?
Well, you know what? It's a great team effort, and the behind the scenes. They always say behind the scenes is the rock,
They
the
do say that.
foundation, and they've been absolutely fantastic. So let's step up to the challenge and get this show on the road.
Yeah, we do have to find out. Rumor has it we've been nominated for some awards for the show.
Yeah, they're not the Emmy or the ESPYs, and I'm not
Something
sure.
else. Yeah, what the
Yeah,
title
I'm not
is.
sure what the title is.
I don't know.
but
It's like I think it's the municipal cable awards, the MCs. or
Really?
whatever. Yeah. The
municipal cable.
municipal cable television awards.
Like we're going to
it's a
go up
big-
against a lot of the competition that's on channel.
Yeah. I just to throw it
I
at
didn't
you
know that.
out of the blue.
I didn't know
just
that.
to throw it at you.
See?
What do you think some of the general news and information programming like we are?
Oh, you know what?
What's some of our competition you would guess?
Like is like the news station?
Yeah, so we're
As this
it's
is
a
local
themed. I'm
media,
sorry. I'm
local
sorry.
media?
It's a local. It's a themed general interest in news show, such as us. So
you
we're
know-
themed around workforce, right? What's some of the other?
Oh, theme. Okay. Because I was going to say, you know what? I mean, I know that we're on the government television channel, which is 192, right? But like Channel 3, I don't know if that's a competitor, but like Andy,
So let me give you an example.
Andy Lacombe.
No, Andy's on the paid.
Sports.
He's on the paid channel.
How about we
we're
take-
talking municipal. Our
about we take-
competition.
yeah,
let me give you
I
one of the
wanna
shows we're
raise the
up against.
stakes.
Let me show you one of the shows we're up against. We're up against Auntie Meg's Kettle, and it's a woman who talks about out in Spokane, Washington. She talks about like cooking and using natural foods. Exactly,
Who
right?
Who else? Who else we up against?
I'll have to check the list. But who do you think? Who would you feel?
I know. I
some
wouldn't
of our
want
competition out
I
there.
wouldn't want to go against like people like Mauro Di Pasquale. He's got a great show.
Again, you're staying local. This is a national award.
National.
We're up against Pedal Time. It's a show about biking.
I know that celebrities.
The pedal economy.
I know that celebrities fall off. Once they're hit like the top, they fall off, and you find them in local. Is like Geraldo Rivera working somewhere? Because I think at this stage in his life, I think we can take him on. I'm serious. I think so. People like that. Maury, is he still on TV? We should do a game show.
Maury Povich?
Yeah. Is he still on TV?
Is he alive?
I don't know. But we could win either way. So
yeah.
I'm just saying, I think we can do it. I think if we raise the stakes and bring about, some programming like, the You're Welcome segment, I think that's got to be in itself.
You almost think like we should have. I'll have to check and see what we got nominated. I know we got nominated in a couple categories, so we're gonna have to see. Next month we're gonna have to do a segment.
Has to be one of the best intros. And we'll see that later today.
We're going to see that later today. But next month, we're going to have the results of how we did, who we were up against for what categories, and how we did. And kudos to the folks here at Cable Services. There's a number of shows and segments that got nominated.
So like Worcester Magazine does like the best of the best across, restaurants, things. This seriously,
they have best cable. That's local.
I think best duo.
On-air personalities?
Hosts, yes. You and me versus Kevin Shea and Andy Lacombe.
Oh, it's on.
I think so.
Are they together, though? Do they do... Oh, is it the High School Football Review?
Friday Night Frenzy.
Friday Night Frenzy.
Yeah. I think we can do...
I gotta say, they do a great job of it, and Kevin has featured my nephew a few times, so...
Yeah, my son was actually on it.
Cool.
The human missile. The human
missile.
Back in the day.
He was like some sort of mascot or something? Like he was...
No,
they would have him on like, hey, here comes... And he'd run across the screen.
He'd run across the screen because it was a highlight in the game, Jeffrey.
Okay.
You and I would never know what that feels like.
You know what? Honestly, I know you're such a great athlete. I couldn't resist when you said the human mascot.
Neither one of us can attest to that level of caliber of play. But
that's right.
But we did play.
We ought to get Andy, speaking of Andy in sports, we ought to get him down to the Hab to see you playing some indoor soccer. Now, this is a true story, folks. Went down to see you and our former producer, Sean McGauley, who are still getting out there playing in like a rec league down at the Habitat facility in Whitensville.
It's a competitive league, Jeff. Not rec. It's a competitive league.
Competitive rec.
Yes.
Well, so I show up for the game, this is like our playoff run. Come check it out. So I go down there, and I was surprised that you were playing a co-ed team. And then, it's just interesting to see the dynamics, right? Because it's like you have these smaller Leith college female athletes out there, and you guys are kind of bulkier, a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. And yet they were just moving the ball right around you.
Hey, college athletes.
I think they took
nowadays.
it to you. I think they had won that game like 5-2. I was like, wow.
I don't remember the outcome, but if you say so.
You don't.
We tried to get you to play, but I don't. Can't get you out of retirement. You bronzed your shoes a few years ago.
Yeah, you know what it is. With the bad hip, I can't kick.
The bad hip.
I was a dominant right-footed player.
You are a goalie. People don't even know this, but Jeff and I played indoor soccer back at the friendly house.
Yeah, but
when we were like 10 years old,
I have
was
more
the goalie.
talents than just goalie. Striker, is that a position?
Yeah, that's what I played. You were the goalie. You were kind of probably bored for most of the game.
Yeah.
But be that as it may.
Be that as it may. Some good times.
Yeah.
Some good times. So
Fond
we're gonna take on Andy and Kevin.
Yeah.
I think like a battle of local personalities. Yeah, Judy, let's look at. Is there any other city shows that have two co-hosts?
No.
So we're representing.
It's them versus us. It's mano a mano versus mano a mano.
All right. Well, speaking of mano a mano,
tag team champions of the world.
Best segue ever. Speaking of mano a mano, I had a chance to interview a fella. Noah Berger, who's the president over at the... Have you ever heard of the Mass Budget and Policy Center?
Of course, yeah.
They do a lot of good work, a lot of good research projects. And so I had a chance to... Do you think we're ready to go over to that? Let's check out the interview. We're going to come back and talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll throw it over to
Hi,
them.
we're talking now with Noah Berger, who is the president of the Massachusetts Budget and Policy Center, which is an independent research organization that produces nonpartisan policy research analysis and data-driven recommendations focused on improving the lives of low and middle-income children and adults for our state. Mr. Berger, welcome to the Working Lunch.
Hi, it's great to be here.
So recently saw your report, the 2017 State of Working Massachusetts, which is a snapshot of the economic conditions of workers in the Commonwealth. Can you tell us a little bit more about the report and some of the major findings?
Yes, there is some very good news in the report, but there are also some real challenges that our Commonwealth still faces. Among the good news is we've had strong job growth. We've added about 300,000 jobs since the beginning of the Great Recession, and that's one of the better rates in the country, and that's definitely good news. We also see in this report that Massachusetts, which has long been a leader in having the best educated workforce in America, this year crossed a fairly significant threshold where now the majority of our workforce has a four-year college degree. And that's important in today's economy, that you have well-educated workers. Not surprisingly, Massachusetts and New Jersey have the two best educated workforces in the country and the two highest wage economies in terms of median wages. That's also good news. But when you think about that, as I think your listeners know, a college degree is not the only important educational credential that people can have. And I think as we think about the future of Massachusetts, we need to think both about how to make sure that kids from whatever income background or whatever community have access to college, to a two-year college or a four-year college, but also that kids who are not getting a four-year college degree, who've chosen a different path, whether it's a vocational program or a good workforce training or a two-year degree, that those opportunities are available as well, because they're going to be jobs at a lot of different education levels. And what's important for the long-term strength of the economy is that you have systems that allow each young person coming up through the schools to be able to pursue the path that they want to pursue, that maximize their talents, and that they don't face financial barriers that make it impossible for them to go to college if they want to go to college. If they want to go to a vocational school, there aren't long waiting lists that would keep them out. And the more you can do that, help each kid to maximize their potential, that's obviously good in terms of opportunity in our state, but it's also really the most important thing you can do for the long-term strength of the state economy.
Is there such thing, you'd mentioned this threshold of 50%, which is is a pretty eye-popping stat, that have four-year degrees in our workforce in the Commonwealth, but is there such a thing as having too many college grads? I say that because I looking at the data here in Central Mass, surprisingly, I thought about 3/4 of the jobs actually don't require a four-year degree, and then even of the ones that do say they require a four-year degree, if you actually look at the skills involved, it's more of an employer preference than a hard and fast. You need to have those skills learned over 4 years versus some of those other pathways you had mentioned. And I just wonder if with the rise of student debt and with some of the malemployment that happens, you've got the barista at Starbucks who maybe has a 4-year degree. Is there such thing as pushing too many kids to go on to college versus some of those other pathways you mentioned?
I think the important question is opportunity, is making sure that kids who are prepared and want to have that opportunity do have that opportunity. And I think there's a little bit of a chicken and egg when you look at likely jobs available, which is the jobs that are going to come to a region depend to some degree on the skills and education of the workers in those regions. There are a lot of companies in America and around the world that are going to locate high-paying jobs that require high levels of education in the places where the workforce has the levels of education that they're looking for. So I think that I certainly wouldn't say that you need an economy in which everybody has a college degree, but I do think that increasing the overall level of education of the workforce is good for the overall economy. And I think we should be clear that there's a huge sort of economic background to who is and who isn't going to college.
Yeah,
so
that idea of opportunity, I think.
The access for kids who otherwise wouldn't have access.
Exactly.
Is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and certainly that concept of making sure the opportunity exists, for those real bright kids that might not have the funding or whatever, or even just the vision of going to college, because that hasn't been part of their experience, and making sure they understand that it's achievable and reachable for them. So I definitely think that's a good point to make sure that we consider as we kind of look at college opportunities, in our region here for the workforce. One of the other things that caught my attention on this is that when you look at the wage growth and how it relates to productivity, it seems like there's been a decoupling there. Can you speak a little bit about how that has helped kind of lead to some of the inequality that we see around wages and earnings?
Yeah, that's been a huge issue really across the country for several decades at this point. We had a tradition in America back from the end of World War II through the mid-1970s, where each year as the economy grew, as we became more productive, wages went along growing along with productivity. So as you could produce more value for every hour worked, wages went up to reflect that. Beginning in about the mid-1970s, that changed, and the economy kept growing, it kept becoming more productive, but it is no longer leading to broad-based wage growth the way it once was. And that's really at the core of a lot of what we see when we talk about inequality, that less and less of the new income created is being paid out in wages to ordinary working people.
So
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so I mean, when you look at some of the factors behind that, is there any policy or programmatic changes you'd recommend to help meet that kind of challenge there with that decoupling?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think that those are mostly big national issues. That is, it's everything from monetary policy that keeps the economy growing, because as you get closer to full employment, workers have better bargaining power to get higher wages. Unionization, I mean, a big part of the reason why wages grew with productivity in the economy for a long time is we had strong unions. A lot of the workforce was unionized, so you could negotiate for higher wages. That's no longer the case. I think trade policies, having trade policies that prioritize the wages of working people in America and abroad would be helpful. There are a limited number of tools at the state level, but we do know, as we were just talking about, that as people's level of education rises, their wages are likely to rise. So that's not a panacea to the big national challenges, but it is something concrete that a state can do to raise the wages of the folks within the state.
So just getting back to some of the data that's outlined in the report around the growth of jobs in general, any thoughts or any data that's kind of coming through around the rise of the so-called like gig economy jobs, or maybe part-time jobs without benefits versus that traditional kind of 9 to 5 salary and benefits kind of any data coming through around trends in that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely there are definitely changes going on in our economy. This data doesn't really shine a very bright light on that. We interestingly saw more people who were employed part-time becoming employed full-time, which is a good step in the right direction. And benefits have been a problem both in the gig economy and in the broader economy, where fewer and fewer employers provide real pension plans. We've seen some decline in employer-provided health insurance. So I think those continue to be important questions. By the way, just doubling back on the question of college education, and you mentioned the issue of debt, which I think is a very real issue, and you mentioned the concern about not wanting to push kids to get deeper into debt, which I think is absolutely right. And I think the state policy choice is for public colleges and universities, how do you make them more affordable? And Massachusetts, since about 2001, has cut funding for higher education by an amount that comes out to about $3,000 per kid per year, and tuition fees have gone up by about $4,000 per kid per year. And that's a very direct relationship, where it's simply the state pulling back on its commitment to making higher ed affordable and shifting costs onto kids. And I think the right answer is not saying to young people struggling to go to college, you need to take on more debt, but saying we as a Commonwealth think it's in our interest, in all of our people's interest, to make those investments so higher education is affordable.
Well, and exactly in line with where we've been trying to kind of influence where we can to help make sure that those pathways exist and that we can kind of move in that direction. So in terms of any other policy implications around what we might want to be looking to promote with these kind of independent jobs that are out there, the rise of so-called like Uber jobs?
Yeah. And I think it is worth thinking about, are there ways to make sure that those jobs, like all jobs, are paying decent wages and providing decent benefits? I also think that the broader set of economic development tools involves, very importantly, workforce training. So when you think about skills and education, it's not just formal schooling. It's also workforce training programs that are tied to the kinds of jobs that exist in a local community. And it's another area where Massachusetts has not made really strong investments, although we have some effective programs to really think about. If we're allocating our economic development resources, are there ways to make sure that people who need that kind of retraining or training are able to get it?
Yeah. We're speaking with Noah Berger, president of the Massachusetts Budget and Policy Center. Any other, I know you do a lot of reporting, a lot of reports and research at your organization, and they do come across, I'm on your email distribution list, so I see a lot of these great things. How can folks learn more about this report and others?
Encourage people to go to our website, which is massbudget.org, www.massbudget.org. You can look there by topic, education, jobs, and the economy, or any other topic. You can also sign up there for our email list where you would receive our reports as we release them. We're also happy to come and speak to groups, so that if there are folks who would like us to come out and speak to an organization and answer questions or make a presentation about any of this, we are very happy to do that. And again, on our website in the top right-hand corner, there's a little box that says request a speaker.
Well, as a matter of fact, you mentioned that. I'll put you on the spot here. I'd sent through a request to see if you might be available at a future board meeting. We'd love to have you come out to talk with our stakeholders here in Central Mass and talk through some of the priorities we're setting for our region and how we can make sure that it does align with the research that you and your team are performing. So, anything I've missed about the report that you want our listeners to know?
I think we've touched on most of the important topics. There's actually even newer data out from the census since our report, which came out today, in fact, that is very consistent with showing that the job growth that we have seen is leading to incomes rising. And we've also seen a decline in poverty in Massachusetts, which relates, I think, both to the overall strength of the economy and that in Massachusetts we've increased the minimum wage by $3 an hour. $2 of that would be reflected in the new data that we've seen. And there's good evidence that when you raise wages at the bottom end of the income spectrum, it reduces poverty and helps more families to be able to support themselves and make ends meet.
Sure, and I know that there is a that virtuous cycle where folks that have more money in their pocket spend more money, which helps other people to earn a living and also brings in more public revenue through taxes and whatnot. So,
absolutely right.
Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us here on the Working Lunch. Again, we've been talking with Noah Berger, who's the president of the Massachusetts Budget and Policy Center. Thank you again for joining us on the Working Lunch.
Thank you. It's great to talk.
Now Jeff, that was a very interesting interview. Very in-depth detail, a lot of facts, a lot of statistics. I mean, obviously we saw the charts. We saw the charts. Some great questions on your part. A couple of lulls there that you had. I'm not sure, probably plotting and planning your next question. But you were right on point.
Thank you.
You hit them hard with a couple of specifics. Let's talk about that. So, how'd you feel about the interview? I thought it was great.
I thought the interview went well. I thought the data is really interesting, right? You've got, yes, our economy has been growing for several years since the Great Recession. But if you look at the jobs that are actually being produced, more and more they're part-time jobs. Some people working 2-3 part-time jobs maybe don't have benefits. Their stability in those jobs is limited, and then you add on top of that the rise of the so-called gig economy, and you get the sense a lot of people what we call underemployed, right? Like they're employed, but they really want more. And I can't tell you how many friends. I mean, I've recently turned 50, as you know.
No, I didn't know that.
Well, there you go.
But let's not deter from the conversation.
No, but
let's get back to that.
Here's where I'm going with that.
Sure.
And so I've got a lot of friends that have done their own thing. They've been like maybe independent contractors, doing pretty well for themselves.
Entrepreneurs.
At the same time, they're turning to me saying, geez, I'm lining myself up for 15 years from now being retired, 10, 12 years from now being retired. I really need to get into a job that maybe has some 401k benefits or retirement plan or something like
long-term
hey,
planning.
can I take my skills that I've been using as an independent guy? Maybe they've owned their own business, and now can I become part of a larger organization? So I see a lot of people as working, but not necessarily working in a position that gives them that sense of stability, that sense of...
Is that why let me ask you a question. Mr. Noah was pretty articulate about a lot of things, but, there was a time when people used to have their job for 30, 40 years. You know? You don't see that a lot nowadays.
No.
So you think part and parcel with the transitioning of multiple jobs and either new career paths or what have you, or steady lateral moves and things, or to your point, just changing jobs. Is that part of that search for that, ultimate position where you have stability, you have benefits, you have security?
Yes and no. I think more and more people realize that the security just isn't there, that they need to keep themselves kind of looking for that next opportunity that might give them a bit more pay or whatever. More in the short term, and yes, they are looking for more security in terms of a better opportunity for that. And I think folks more and more want that. But, the message has been for the past generation, 2 generations now, that that kind of loyalty doesn't exist from a company. And in return, now people are not offering that loyalty to their employers.
They're being reciprocated.
And so, what does that mean? Does that really make for a better society? I mean, I'm of the opinion no. And, interesting enough, I kind of come at it, no surprise. I kind of come at it from maybe a middle liberal side or middle left side. But I actually appreciate a lot of the thinking conservatives that are out there in the right side of the argument. Yeah. And I see a lot of interplay now. Folks on the right, I'm going to call them paleo conservatives. That's what they kind of call themselves because they're not necessarily, they're kind of a smaller subsection now of the conservative world. But their view is like, we need communities that are better for stability for families. We need communities where people walk, have a sense of community. So like this urban design, right? Where
that's kind of like what we grew up with.
Exactly. So they want to harken back to more, of like a sense of community, right? So you've got, obviously a lot on the right have criticized this message of, it takes a village. Come on, it doesn't take a village. It takes a parent, right? And there's been that negative. But there is a subsection of conservatives that are really looking at, stable jobs, stable work, stable, neighborhoods that talk to each other, that walk back and forth to a local store, local-owned stores. So that message of anti-corporate, pro stable workforce.
I think it depends on where you're coming from.
Left and right are now joining in some ways around that.
Well, again, there's big city and then there's towns like Worcester, or smaller towns.
Yeah.
But another facet to that, I know we're going to be pushing the time here, but the college aspect of all of this.
Yeah. And this message of college for all, right?
The educational expectations, the challenges, and then basically your return on your investment for going through that, what seems to be now the accepted, if not the recommended course. Make sure that you're going to a strong high school. It's not it's not just any high school. There are people. I remember when Worcester Academy used to be the elite of the elite. Worcester Academy used to have
still pretty elite, but I see what you're saying. It's not
in the sense of the makeup of the demographics of the Worcester Academy when I was a local student was predominantly international.
Okay.
Now
is it not that way now?
Absolutely not.
Really?
There are an abundance, and I mean high numbers of folks like you and me who are sending our kids to Worcester Academy, living in Worcester or a suburb of Worcester.
You think it's
pretty expensive?
It's pretty expensive.
My point is this:
I'd be in a position.
They're positioning these kids then to go to a 4-year college, of course, and then get that degree.
Every morning I drop my kid off at Worcester Academy.
we used to
And
what?
then I keep getting these calls. He does not go to school here. Why? Why do you keep doing this?
Maybe they'll embrace them.
Well,
They'll
you know
adopt
what?
them.
We're gonna have to come
Adopt the
back.
student.
We really
Yeah.
need to come
There's
back.
a lot of stuff going
there's
on.
a lot of stuff to unpack there, and a lot of great meat
conversation
to chew
starting.
on. Meat to chew on, right? For conversation. We're gonna actually throw it now
break.
over to a break, and then we'll be right back with more of the Working Lunch here on WCUW Radio and Worcester
91.3
Cable
on your FM dial.
and Worcester Cable.
Welcome to the city of Worcester, where diversity works.
Welcome to the city of Worcester.
Welcome to Worcester. Welcome to Worcester, where diversity works.
Mirë se erdhët në qytetin e Worcesterit, një qytet ku punon diversiteti.
Bienvenido a la ciudad de Worcester, donde diversidad funciona.
Bienvenidos a Worcester, donde somos orgullosos de nuestra diversidad.
Добро пожаловать в Worcester, наш многонациональный город.
Welcome to the city of Worcester, where diversity works.
Okay, you're back here on the Working Lunch, as seen on Worcester Government Television, channel 192, and on your charter cable system, and heard on WCUW 91.
91.3 on your FM dial.
Boy, we did that in stereo.
We tried to, and it's on the fourth Wednesday of every month.
That's at 12 noon on WCUW.
That's
and then, of
correct.
course, it airs at various times throughout the month on the government channel
Yep.
192. That's
right.
You know what time it is? Do you know what to do? You know what we're going to...
The mail gal. The mail
Yes,
gal.
it is. Look at this.
There
It is.
she is again.
There she is. She's got a thing here with...
mail.
Thank you, as always, rain or shine. That was good.
Yes, it is.
Really, a lot of pep in her step today.
You know what? She's
lot of
a
times-
happy.
a lot of times-
She's a happy mail gal.
You know, just kind of drags. I think she sees the camera, because every day she delivers her mail to us.
No, not all the time. We also get the mail guy.
The mail guide, but
We get the
usually
mail-
she just kind of comes in and slumps it. Here's your mail today. But then she saw the cameras. She was like, "Hey, pepper my step."
Might be a new job for her. Job opportunity.
Hark! I hear a new voice. Welcome,
That's
Lauren.
right.
Oh, thank you.
That's jumping right in there.
Aren't you a little early?
Just saying.
She was like, I have nothing to say, and here she is, just chiming in.
You know, we
I always have something to say.
we do have to. But you're here to answer the question, which is great. So that's going to be excellent. So
Yeah.
why don't you go ahead and read the mailbag, or do you want me to?
Well, no, actually, this is actually personal to you. It says, "Dear Jeff."
Yeah, there you go.
Imagine that. It's usually, but
I
anyway.
think if you look, it does say or. Okay.
Dear Jeff, how does Savvy from Worcester, and I hope I pronounced that right, but
Yeah.
let's see. How do you look for jobs if your English is not too good? What a great question.
It is a good question. We deal with that.
The
Yeah.
city has a lot of diversity.
It does. It sure does, especially a wealth of great talent that comes from other countries. And, I like to look at it as, wow, they chose to be here in America. They chose to pursue their dream here in America. Boy, it takes a lot of guts, right? It takes a lot of,
Sure.
for a lot of these folks that are coming to, especially as a refugee or whatever, really some amazing stories of folks coming over. But when they come here, you got to applaud the fact that they want to learn English and that they want to be immersed in our economy. And while folks can maybe get by, especially if you speak Spanish, if you really want to get ahead, English is going to be the
Without a doubt.
language that is going to give you the most opportunity. And so I do think that I appreciate the fact that Seve is asking the question and wants to do that. And folks at the Career Center, of course, would they do a great job of working with our community partners to
Well, we
go
do.
ahead and basically refer to some of the
Exactly.
ESL programs that are out there.
Exactly.
I know that the Worcester Public Schools has a night class, as some evening programming, as well as some of the groups like Accentria, and then a lot of the neighborhood groups. I know Worcester Community Connections and Ann Bureau does a great job of linking in some of those grassroots. Maybe they're not kind of full-time immersive programs, but like a free, church-based program.
And the adult learning center.
Adult
Right.
over at Fanning, the Fanning building.
They have a ESL
Well,
program.
we actually have several languages that staff. Take an inventory of some of the languages that we have in the office, and then the state offers a multilingual
Translation
services, so that we could at least communicate with folks in terms of being able to refer them. But the programs that you speak of, especially,
and I think
learning
one of
the language moving forward, are key and vital investment for them, and long term, the answer to success in a lot of.
And I think sometimes it almost feels like a chicken and egg. Do you learn English first and go to work, or do you try to get work without knowing English? And so, but you have to, keep food on the table. So I mean, usually what folks are doing is they're doing it part time. They're cobbling together, some sort of work, but obviously probably not to the highest level they can do because they just can't communicate as strongly as they need to with potential employers. So they kind of doing both at the same time, which takes a lot of energy and stuff. And again, I applaud folks for making the effort to do that and taking the time to invest in themselves. And there are some great partners out there that would be a resource for them. So
absolutely, and asking us again, in a lot of instances, we are not the single source solution to provide all of the resources that folks are looking for, but being a community-based partner ourselves and working with our, WIOA partners and other agencies, we're able to refer folks.
Yeah, we might not be able to do it in-house, but we can certainly help connect you with those
with
folks that do
names,
that.
addresses, telephone, contact information. So never be afraid to ask the career
center. What
center.
name is that, you think? Is that like I want to sense like a...
I don't know. I
Like
mean,
a Euro...
Seve Ballesteros
Yeah,
from Spain. I think of golf.
Spain, I'm thinking European. So one of those Spanish, Spain.
No, I mean, again, all good questions. All good questions because you have an issue, you have a challenge, you have a barrier. That's what we're here to do.
So, Seve, feel free to come on down to the Career Center,
Absolutely.
and again, we'll help make some of those connections for you.
Well, good
Speaking
answer.
of connections, that's what I do.
You do.
You see how I do this? We're going to turn now to
drum roll.
Lauren Morano, who a bit of a promotion this month.
Yeah?
She sounds surprised.
Well, at one time you had started with the Ross Roundup, and then we went to the Morano Minute.
Right.
And people were like, geez, she's only got a minute. There's a lot to talk about. She's such a great personality to have on air. Can you expand to maybe 2 minutes or a minute and a half? And I was like, you know what? Why not? Gosh darn, that girl works very hard. That kid's really working hard.
She's a
out
rising
there.
star.
We're gonna give her an extra 20 seconds this month.
Diamond in the rough, that one.
Morano Minutes.
I'll keep it under 5. How about that? Does that work?
Sold.
5
What
minutes?
do you got for me?
Okay. First up, the Apple Fest at Wachusett Mountain is
Not
going to be
confused
amazing.
with Northboro's Apple Fest.
Is that coming up too? Or are you just making that up?
No, it just happened last weekend.
Oh.
So forget about it. Moving on.
So that's October 14th and 15th from 10 to 5. So they're going to have a barbecue, pony rides, clowns, a climbing wall, jugglers,
Where's that again?
magicians up at Wachusett
So
Mountain.
do they do the skylift ride
Yes,
too?
they do. The foliage sky rides.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. There's also live music all weekend and a blueberry pie eating contest.
Oh.
Look at that.
Jeff.
You're perfect
That's
for
going to be a little
that.
messy. I'm going to guess that's messy.
It's probably pretty messy. Look at all the people.
Is
They're
that
all-
sponsored by Table Talk? It should be sponsored by Table Talk.
Good idea, but no.
You're welcome. This is a you're welcome segment.
That is
right
a
there.
you're welcome.
I-
Well, you know what?
I keep
You
coming
know
back
what?
to it all the time.
I'm having a little soiree this week. You know what I should do? I should go get a bunch of those mini pies and have a little pie eating contest.
Good
Oh,
idea.
there you go.
Would you do that?
That would be fun.
I'll pass.
Yeah.
I'll be a judge though. I'll watch the clock.
I picture people and then they look up and they got pie all over their face.
Yeah.
I guess that's part of the fun, right?
It is. Gotta be a kid. Kid at heart.
Shepherd's pie. What is shepherd's pie?
That might hurt. That might hurt. What else you got there, Lauren?
All right, so next up is Oktoberfest.
That we just did October.
Well, that's
No,
a
we did
fest.
Apple Fest.
Apple
Yeah.
Fest.
So now we got Oktoberfest,
Oktoberfest.
which is October 21st and 22nd, still at Wachusett.
Wow.
Saturday, 10
I
to
think
4.
we have a graphic up there while you're speaking of like the Oompa Loompa guy.
Yeah,
Oompa
look
guy.
at
What are you?
that.
Oompa
There
Oh,
they
baby.
are.
the Steiner brothers.
There they are.
Steiner brothers.
Steiner.
Get that?
Steiner.
So that would be the live entertainment,
All
live
right.
music. So Saturday,
You
10
bet
to,
your schnitzel.
10 to 4, and Sunday, 10 to 3.
Is that is that a
Yes.
faux pas? Did I just say
Schnitzel is good.
Schnitzel
That is
is okay.
That is,
What is
that is a good,
Is that like
good
a,
joke.
I was gonna say sausage. Is it a sausage? A schnitzel? Or is it a baked good?
And once again, we've lost.
Well, we've gone over 5.
Once again, we're lost.
Well,
Okay.
thanks for being here at
There's-
the time. You know,
there's-
we're out of time. No, I'm just kidding.
There's also a keg tossing contest
Where? At the
at
Oktoberfest?
Oktoberfest. You got to get up there for that.
I'm going to guess they're
Keg
empty.
tossing. I hope
Keg
they're empty.
tossing.
They have to be empty. So,
So yeah, there's a charge. Adult tickets are $5, and and kids are $3.
good.
Wow.
Yeah. Cheap.
That's very
So
reasonable.
Mount
Cheap,
Wachusett has a market on October's events.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Yeah. So this is a chamber event, the 2017 Game Changers event at
Oh,
the
neat.
DCU Center.
Very
So
neat.
that's going to be on October 20th.
What's that about?
So it focuses on economic development
Mm-hmm.
and the transformation of Worcester's skyline. Also, new opportunities for import and export sector, the import and export sector, and high tech and
Vandalay
biotech.
Industries is
High
in
tech and biotech.
Oh, wow.
Very, very good.
Yeah, so that's
When is
pretty
that
interesting.
happening?
That's the 20th from 7:30 to 1:30. Half day event. So it doesn't.
What, do we
Doesn't-
know what day the 20th is? October 20th.
Yeah, I believe that's.
I don't know.
Okay. During the week, though, you think?
Yes.
Yeah, of
weekday.
course it is.
Weekday.
Good event. I want to try to get to
It's a
that.
business
Yes.
event.
That's at the DCU Center. So
Nice.
good stuff.
Ooh, next month I've got a I'm just making a note to myself. I got another thing I want to share with you guys. So.
Fair enough.
So the last thing I have is the Webster Dudley Oxford Chamber Home and Business Expo, which is happening on October 24th. That's actually a Tuesday, so this is after work, so it's 4 to 7.
These are like products for your home.
Yeah, well, so this event attracts business clients and residential customers, so it's a good kind of place to just have a booth,
Network,
set
yeah.
up, network.
You are just
Who,
a wealth
who
of
sponsors
information.
that?
Hey.
Who sponsors that? that being
Bank
put on?
Hometown,
Okay.
It's
at
promoted, being
Indian
promoted
Ranch.
through the chamber.
right? But it's at Indian Ranch.
Oh, nice. That's a neat facility.
Yeah.
You guys go there? Has anybody gone to a
Yes.
concert there this year?
It's fun.
Not
What
this
did you
year.
go see? Oh, not this year?
I'm going Sunday to see Jake Owen at Indian Ranch. I have not been there yet this
Oh, wow.
season, though.
Country and Western?
Not Western, really.
No.
Country.
That's more like horseback riding.
Is country and Western not a thing you say anymore?
I don't think
No.
so. I
You
think
looked
it's
at me like,
country.
Just
Just
country.
country?
Yeah. But I also want to throw in, it's going to be too late when the
It's
show
gonna be-
airs.
yes. Well,
it's going to be
yes,
too late
for
when
the
the show
radio,
airs.
listeners.
No,
This
no,
stuff
you
is
got to do it
not.
like this. Hey, what'd you do last Saturday?
Yeah, exactly. But Jen and I will be participating in the Dragon Boat.
Yes. That's
Festival.
exciting. You guys
Boom.
are,
We got this.
I love
So
it.
we're on the chamber boat, and we're excited.
We're on the chamber boat. Not the love boat, we're on the chamber,
Chamber boat.
It's
Chamber
very exciting
boat.
stuff.
Yes, it is.
Chamber of Commerce boat.
We get hit in the regatta.
Yep. Saturday.
We got it, Saturday.
8 a.m.
We're talking in the future and the past. What are we talking? We're talking in the
By the
past.
time this airs, it would
be
be
in
in
the
the
past.
past.
Right.
So,
So Back to the Future.
hopefully we'll be talking. We should be
So
talking
next
about your
month.
victory.
Oh, let me make a note. I know what we're going to be talking about next month. Dragon.
Just
boat.
remember 8 a.m. We're going to be there at 8 a.m. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to this Game Changers thing.
Yeah.
Here's you'd given us kind of a lowdown of, hey, here's some events I'll be talking about, and you mentioned the Game Changers, and it sparked my my memory of a show that I thought was called Game Changers. So I was doing some research for the show about this other TV show called Game Changers that is just a horrible show.
Okay.
One of the worst shows ever, right? It's on like Nickelodeon, and it's a show about kids, and so but the name of the show is actually Game Shakers. So I was close. But let me talk. I'm still going to talk about why this show is probably the horrible.
Lateness.
So
Okay.
I don't know if it's Nickelodeon.
And so is this officially non-Morano minutes? 'Cause
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
have to
we're
get time,
you're
right?
off the clock.
You could.
Yeah.
You're
We'll
more
see
than
you
welcome to
slowly
stay.
just kind of walking away, right? Like, okay.
She's like,
No,
yeah,
but here's my problem.
Game
Right? So
Shakers.
you got Nickelodeon and Disney. It's like a race to the bottom sometimes with some of the shows they put on here. This is like the worst show ever. There's not like one redeeming thing about this show, and I think it's poisoning our kids. I think honestly, if there was, it's like if there was a show, you couldn't design a worse show.
All right. So what's your solution?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't
I
know.
don't-
I
I
was
don't
waiting
know.
for your welcome moment here. Like I propose
I
that they do a show
obviously,
like this.
No, here's what I
bring
think.
it to this level.
I think it was like the theorist Marx, Marxist communism. I think It was one of his contentions that capitalism will eventually die out because people are going to make money cutting their own throats. Like, if you can, like selling cigarettes, you know it's bad for society, but you're still going to do it because you make a buck, right? I think that's how Nickelodeon and Disney are at this point. They're peddling a show for kids that they know is horrible, but they're making money off it. So it's a race to the bottom. It's lowest common denominator stuff, and I think the answer is public TV, where you don't compete for, it's not like you need to make a profit, right? I think that's the answer, and at least allow. I'm not saying ban these shows, although in a perfect world they wouldn't be on air, but maybe just more people like. I mean, you go online. Put in Game Shakers and read the reviews
After
of these
you just
shows.
told me, I will
read
not
the reviews.
be doing
I am not alone in
I will
this
not be
segment.
doing that.
I am not alone in
I
this
think we have a
segment.
new segment. It's like Turgeon's Rant. We got to come up with something because every show comes up with something.
Cortez Corner. too.
Well, I've been on the
Oh, hey, great segue. Look at her. Jeff,
Speaking of rants,
speaking of segue.
all right. Yes, that was very good. That was good.
Cortez Corner.
You trying to take my chair, aren't you? First, Ethan. Now Lauren.
No.
I see how it is.
No.
No one
see
could
how it
replace you, Jeff.
All right, we're gonna go right now to Cortez Corner. Let's go
Let's
right
do
there.
it. Love this intro.
The challenger, Jonathan Cortez. Number one, nice guy. Super physically fit. Runs, does like these mud runs, like knows how much he can bench, knows how many push-ups he can do.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Cortez.
Oh, that is the best. That is the best.
It's been a while since you've seen it,
It's
huh?
been a while since I've seen it.
That was actually filmed at our former location.
That's right, over on
44 Front Street.
And you know who, at the very end there, is our own Lauren Morano.
Formerly Lauren Ross. She was Lauren Ross.
Pretending to be at the computer or something.
Oh, she wasn't a job seeker? Because that would have been a success
That
story.
would have been a success.
No,
No,
yeah, she
no,
was. She was a prop.
It was good.
She was a prop.
Good.
That apple was real. That apple
The
was
apple.
real.
Special effects. It's all
special effects. So this month, I want to talk about on Cortez Corner was Job Day. Have you heard of Job Day?
No.
Well, good answer. Let me tell you about Job Day. Have you heard of job fairs?
Yes. Yeah,
Have you heard of recruitments?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Job Day is a combination of both. So what we've started is a Job Day where we have a smaller number of employers come to the office so that we can, in a job fair setting, but a more intimate relationship in our interaction with the job seekers. Mm-hmm. So less employers than a job fair.
Okay.
Targeted employers, whether it be industry
I was just going to
specific.
say, sometimes I think you maybe do it by industry or occupation or something, right?
Occupation, exactly. And sometimes if we don't have enough, we'll again diversify and have a different group of employers. But for the most part, we try to do it theme oriented. And with that, the job seekers that come in are usually specialized candidates for that type of those type of positions. So we have a set schedule, and so in October we have the last Friday of the month in Worcester from 10 to noon. The third Friday of the month for consistency, we also do this in our Southbridge office, which is located at 5 Optical Drive in Southbridge. And although we've closed the Milford office, we still have a local presence, and we're going to kick off our off-site Job Day in Milford.
So you're going to try to do it monthly down?
We're going to do it monthly in Milford.
That's at the Senior Center down
No, actually it's at Memorial Hall.
Okay.
Right at, that's located at 30 School Street, and it's right downtown, so very convenient for folks to come down. Right on School Street, which is very close to the public library.
So some of those local businesses maybe a little bit closer there can
Some of
choose that.
the free parking on the street, in the public library, in the local area right there. So there is ample parking. Again, anywhere from, say, 10 to 15, maybe 20 employers in Worcester.
But a manageable number.
Manageable number. And this gives you, the job seeker, the opportunity to kind of
Now, why is that so important these days? Yeah, you got the internet. You got.
Well, you know what?
Why is
Yeah,
it so
making that personal interaction. Practicing your 30-second elevator pitch. If you have more of a robust conversation with a representative from the human resources there in the company, you can elaborate, articulate who you are, and let them get a feel for the person.
Because sometimes you're filling out those forms, like the online form. It's not going to convey who you are, what you've maybe, why you'd be a
Here's the
strong
thing.
candidate.
A lot of these companies have the online application process. But to your point, they just sifting through resumes. Now they work through us, with us. They're there. They want to see the person. They want to see the personality. They want to see the person behind the resume.
Yep.
And this is an immediate opportunity to make an instant connection and then give you follow-up. Give you the opportunity to follow up on your behalf with the company. We met and we had a good discussion and maybe possibly get into
They say that
offers.
the personality and the fit into an organization's culture is one of the top kind of retention factors, right? Like, hey, how do they get along with their boss and their colleagues? Are they a decent fit for whatever environment is manufacturing, science, healthcare, whatever it is?
It's funny you should say that, because what a lot of people don't understand is now, again, we've been talking about the past, the present, and the future. A lot of things now, there's a phone interview. Is your initial contact with the company, if they're interested, based on the resume, which is typically scanned in a lot of high-tech areas, they'll call you to get that feel of whether or not they feel as though this person not only has the background, the experience, the skill set, but do they have the personality to fit within our team environment? Will they be a good employee, a good team player? Will they be somebody that can be a part of our growth?
Yep.
And at the end of the day, that's what they're looking for. So if all things being equal, we talk about education and skill set and experience and what have you, it's going to come down to, could be a matter of they feel more comfortable with one person than another.
Yeah.
So soft skills comes into play.
So that's where that being able to communicate in a way that shows who you are, what value you bring to the company, and how you might be a fit there.
And again, we're going to we'll continue to spin off of this, because then this is why we have workshops, not only resume writing workshops, interview and technique workshops, which incorporates the telephone interview. And then we also have, programs like Bounce, job search strategies that talk about the soft skills part that can differentiate your candidacy from somebody else.
And then once you get the job, use those skills to communicate, to stay kind of, put yourself in a position where you're advancing in
That's
the workplace, right?
So, with all of that, I mean, we started with just a couple of announcements and Cortez Corner, but at the end of the day, as we always say, to end this segment, you just got to go for it.
That's the official ending?
That's the official. Do you not remember this?
I don't. I've been away too long.
You were one of the primary directors, editors, executive producers of that segment.
I put the audio together. They did a great job. The team here at the channel, and I feel unfortunately for folks that are listening by on 91.3 WCUW aren't able to see they hear it's great audio, but it's a great video that they put together, and so they're not able to see this. So I forgot about some of the finer points there, and then I forgot your catchphrases. Go for it.
Well, that's why going back to the video.
How did I forget that?
That's what Janice and I had.
That's why it says
go for it.
Go for it.
Which was a great
go for it.
vote. I mean, a great quote in the Rocky series, which is one of my favorites, but be it as it may. So that's Cortez Corner.
Now, again, timing being what it is, we're filming this in in September. It'll air next week on the radio, and then next month on the TV.
Correct.
But tomorrow, you've got a big event coming up on the Worcester Common. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that looks like? And
sure. So obviously, folks will be listening to this next week, and what we did last week, if you will, is we held the 5th annual Uncommon Job Fair. Speaking of job fairs, and we held it on the Common behind City Hall,
which is uncommon to do.
Which is very uncommon to do, because what we're trying to do is make it a little bit more casual, make it a little bit more of a relaxed setting for both the employer and the job seeker. And, the weather forecast looked good. So hopefully when you hear this, it was good.
I hope it came off okay.
But I do know that we have 80 employers registered to come.
So a bit bigger than your job days.
Exactly.
And you're not going to have as much time.
Exactly.
But maybe you make that quick introduction and able to follow up by phone later.
And again, this is more of the job fair. You know. But we've had some great success. This is the 5th annual event. 80
employers.
80 employers on the Common. Right.
I know you're even cooking up some hot dogs for folks, and I think the volunteers from like Vets
again, great community-based organizations that partner up with us. We have obviously the city of Worcester is a great partner in working with us with this and supporting our efforts.
We're going to give credit to the folks on the DPW staff that come down and really lend a great hand moving furniture around the Common and
very helpful, very supportive.
Helping with all the other logistics.
They're there all the time.
Who's
Shorty?
Shorty.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he helps us out a lot. And so we'll have 80 employees. We've averaged anywhere from 500 to 800 folks to walk on the Common at that time. And to your point, yes, we have veterans.
It's a bit more casual, but still, folks want to come up to put their best foot forward. So maybe a polo shirt or even a shirt and tie.
Right. And that's the casual. That's the casual. A three-piece suit and that kind of thing.
Just walking through the Common with a T-shirt is probably not a good chance.
And that's what we're trying to do. And the employees expect that. The employees expect people to come in and dockers in a polo shirt. And come in, but they're going to present themselves professionally, and they're going to articulate what their their thoughts and wants are in terms of what jobs they're applying for. But to get back to your point, just to give a couple of shout-outs, Veterans Inc. will be there. They'll be supporting our efforts. Grafton Job Corps.
They do a great job,
always send us some wonderful kids who help with a couple different facets of the, the logistics and stuff. The great staff at Workforce Central, of course. The business service reps will be there. Some of the career counselors will be there. So everybody will be chipping in and working with folks, and we will be having our specialty, the hot dogs, bag of chips, and some bottled water for those folks that come down and participate in that. And it's always been a great event.
Another great event. And I know the whole team at Workforce Central, whether it's Southbridge comes up and helps out, you even get some career staff from other career centers throughout your colleagues throughout the career center.
We have members from the Rapid Response, the Mass Biz Works, here to help with the business side of things, work with some of the employees that were there. Again, it's a real
team effort.
It's a great networking opportunity for a lot. I mean, obviously we work well with the Chamber of Commerce, so a lot of their clients are our customers as well, so we work with those businesses. So it's really, again, representatives from City Hall, the city manager and staff, economic development.
So moving forward, obviously it's late for this event, but for those job days, how do businesses get in touch with you if they want to maybe come down?
Call either the Worcester or Southbridge office, ask to speak with the business service rep on site.
Workforce Central Career Center.
Workforce Central Career Center, and we'll certainly sign them up.
Well, another great opportunity for businesses to get involved and help fill their needs on the staffing end. So you know what?
Big focus.
Partner.
That's it?
It's time to wrap up this show.
Another month come, another month gone.
We want to thank, just to remind folks, we had Noah Berger, who president over at the Mass Budget and Policy Center. We had Lauren Morano come in and share. So,
and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween,
Trick or treat, my friend. Trick or treat.
We all reap is what we sow. Lost my house, didn't do my dream. Dream, didn't do my dream. Now deep inside I want to scream. I yearn for the days when life was fun. Now I can't even afford to get a gun. Bang, bang, couldn't afford a gun. The days of easy money, they are